we just get started?
Yeah.
Shall we? Okay, wonderful. So welcome to the Share Advisory Committee meeting on Monday, February 8th, 2021. We're beginning at 5:32 p.m. I'm not going to read, we only have the one item. I'm not going to read through the whole beginning. I've called this to order, and so we're looking at 1.02 roll call. Kelly?
Okay, Sarah Kaiser,
Present.
Lydia DeFlorio,
Present.
Sylvia Gonzalez, not present. Tanya Hayes, also not present. Kelly Roper, I am present. Manny Magana,
Present.
Andrea Thompson,
Here.
there you are. Ashley Wade,
Present.
and Rabbi Benjamin Zober.
Present.
Great.
Awesome.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. And you know, I realized I didn't send you all the minutes, did I?
No, I was looking at that earlier, and then I thought, well, maybe
No, that was my, so
we're
since
going
I
to,
did,
we'll skip it for now.
we could skip it and come back and visit.
Okay. But
Since I didn't send it out to you, that's not fair. I apologize for that.
Sure. I think before we need to adopt the agenda, and so maybe we need a motion to adopt the agenda, striking the possible discussion or adoption of or approval of the minutes, since those are not currently available.
I, Sarah Kaiser, move that we adopt the agenda to exclude approving the minutes for the last meeting.
Thank you,
Second
Sarah.
that motion.
Thank you, Manny. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Hold on. We just need to make sure, since it's action item, that there's no public comment.
Thank you, Sarah. Luis, is there any public comment for that item?
No public comment.
Thank you. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So that motion passes unanimously. Thank you. On motion from Sarah Linda Kaiser and second by Manny. So then we will skip that 2.01 then and move on to 2.02 presentation and discussion of sixth grade lesson plans and the accompanying materials for Digital Drama Unplugged and how easily drama can escalate online.
Right. Okay, I will go ahead and as I emailed you, this might be just a little bit messier than our normal, scrolling right through the lesson with the PowerPoint slides built in, because I could not alter this lesson. The request is that if we're using this lesson, we are not picking and choosing, we're using the whole lesson. So again, it's just kind of in a different format than we're used to. And a really good question was the whole sign-in issue today. And I apologize for that too. So I hope you got my email earlier today with just my sign-in and how to access the lesson. I sent an email this morning. No, I did not send an email this morning. Wow. Okay, well, I'm just going to walk you through it then. Did you all see the video? Okay.
Yes.
We can walk through the nuts and bolts just like a normal lesson. It just looks different. It's just in a different format. So, where is my share screen? Share screen. Okay, share. Okay. Can you all see this Word document I have up right now? Okay,
Yes.
so
Yes.
just okay, because we would need something to indicate where the lesson is, right, for our share teachers. So I kind of just used our basic format in that front page with the lesson topic, and I felt that this fell in really well with our kind of theme of healthy relationships that we've been rolling down through the grade levels. And It has the link of where the lesson can be. I'll make note of make sure there's a sign in for that and password for our folks. The supporting PowerPoint where that's located. And then I made sure to list the objectives, reflect on how easily drama can escalate online, identify de-escalation strategies when dealing with digital drama, and reflect on how digital drama can affect not only oneself, but also those around us. Again, the activities, it has the video link. And then it explains that this lesson is completely all online, and the same lesson intro that we have for the others for consistency. Share is important to everyone in the class. The goal is for every one of you to feel that these classes relate to you in your life. This curriculum and resulting class discussions are intended to be respectful and inclusive of many perspectives and allow all students to see themselves and understand their own health and sexuality. And the purpose of Share is to assist you in making informed choices and avoid behaviors that put you at risk. All questions are welcome. If you don't feel comfortable asking in class, I provided paper for anonymous questions, or you may talk with me later. So same thing that we've kept as far as a lesson intro. And then I will bring up, so I have multiple tabs going right now. This being the lesson itself. So, and I apologize that wherever the email went, it didn't go to you guys today. So again, that's commonsense.org is where I pulled the lesson from. I just felt personally that it was super fitting with digital drama, given how many of our kiddos and especially our sixth graders are on their devices all the time and what's happening, even as adults, correct? But I love this lesson. So if you don't have time for a full lesson, there was a quick activity, but instead of that, I went straight for the full lesson, and we'll just kind of go back and forth between this tab and the tab that has the PowerPoint on it. If you don't mind, just tell me to stop, yell, whatever, if I'm making it too confusing. So there's a little bit of a warm up. I think my direction would be to skip this part because kids are online. It would be an ahead of time kind of activity. I would just suggest jumping into the lesson. This lesson involves students sharing their opinions on ideas about scenarios, and there aren't necessarily right or wrong answers. And I think that's super important to point out to our students. Before opening up the discussion, it's recommended that teachers establish or review basic norms for discussion, and they have those norms on slide 4. So these are the norms right here, and I'm just going to take you over to the PowerPoint so you can see what it looks like. Here we go. So slide 4. So the group discussion norms: being respect others' viewpoints, don't interrupt, assume positive intent, and disagree respectfully.
Hey, Rochelle.
Yes, Manny.
I don't mean to interrupt you on this, but if
Please
you want to
do.
make this easier, if you go to the PowerPoint, go to File, Download as a PowerPoint, you can then download it as a PowerPoint to make it a lot easier for yourself.
Okay. So where am I going, Manny?
Go to File.
Okay.
No, on the tab itself.
On the tab.
Yeah, you see right there.
Oh, yeah.
File, and then download Microsoft PowerPoint. You can then alter it, do everything else that you want. It's now a PowerPoint that's editable.
Thank you. I don't know why I was having such a hard time with that. I guess I just that's why I have you guys.
That's what we're here for. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
Was that why we weren't able to change anything on it, because you couldn't do that?
Well, that and as far as licensing with Common Sense.
That makes sense.
Yes. Does that make sense more so than just me saying, no, we can't do anything? I'm sure, Manny, along those lines, as I was reviewing and looking at the lesson and going through, it doesn't mean we can't add talking points on like our teacher page, like our master teacher page, like things that you guys think for sure you want to add that aren't here in this lesson. Does that make sense? as we go on today? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, but I don't want to lose it completely. So let's go back here. Again, thank you for your patience as I navigate this different presentation today. Okay. Can you see both? I want you to see the lesson too, and at least the slides. So after the norms, ask when there's, this is the, well, I'll just get you right through this. The learning objectives are posted here that we briefly went over. The group norms that we just talked about. And then going on, ask when there's a fight or an argument here at school or in public, how do people usually react? So this would be that class discussion time. Invite students to respond. And again, you know, probe them deeper. Why do you think people sometimes run toward it or egg it on? And I know we all see that quite a bit. Number 2, explain that one reason is that human beings are naturally attracted to drama. Ask, what does the word drama mean? Invite students to respond. Explain that the word drama actually has different meanings, but that they all connect to the idea of conflict. So refer to common examples of drama, including plays, movies, television shows, and even emotional conflict between people. And then on to slide 5. Using the last example, how does drama, emotional conflict between people happen online? And then can you think of examples? Take turns sharing with your partner. Again, I know we've talked about, given where we are, you know, we can't have kids next to each other. So however, hopefully next year that'll be a little bit different. Fingers crossed, right? That we'll be able to have small groups and such again. But until that time, this could be, you know, whole group discussion. However, the teacher sees best fits the needs of her students or his students or their students, I should say. So how does drama, emotional conflict between people happen online? Can you think of examples? And I mean, it's just straightforward as far as the slide. I'm sure the discussion would be very interesting. And then thanks students for sharing examples, and go on to slide 6, which gives the definition of what digital drama is. And that's what we're talking about today. When people use devices, apps, or websites to start or further a conflict. Digital drama can be different from in-person drama for a number of reasons. And some of the reasons could be it can reach a big audience and reach them immediately. It can include images of videos that get people's attention, and it can involve people posting things anonymously. But again, this could be a great discussion question before, you know, if they were silent, again, we have great examples to give, but posing it as a discussion question as well. And then where do people stand? So moving on to this part of the lesson, we have the little video snip, which is less than 4 minutes, which I thought was great. And then the discussion questions to boot. Why does digital drama happen? And what are some ways to deal with digital drama? Again, discussion piece. And then here we go, groups, but being creative of what that would look like. Pass out taking the lead student handout, which I do have up here as well, and I will open it up shortly. So it's a little scenario, and here we go. So taking the lead and reading the scenario directions, read the scenario below. So ideally this would be with a group of 5 students, so they could work together and each participate as a character in this Instapic, whatever you want to call it. Felicia and Jen are friends from school. They both auditioned for the lead role in the school play. The next day, the drama teacher, Mr. Adler, posts the final cast list, showing that Felicia was selected for the role. Felicia posts a photo of the list on social media with the caption, "Guess who made lead role? Me." Other students at her school see the post and make comments. The comments continue to come in. People start responding with Team Jen and Team Felicia hashtags. Later, in response to Jaden's comments, Felicia posts an embarrassing picture of Jaden and calls him out for failing Mr. Adler's class. So suggestions were that students could each, take on a role of one of these students when they're doing this activity. And now I'm going to go back. Hold, please. So this is an example of digital drama that can start to get out of hand, but it could have turned out differently to help us think about how we're going to first take on the perspective of the individuals involved. So direct students to part 2, which we'll go to in just a second. Read the directions aloud, assign a different role to each member of the group, or allow groups to choose their own roles. No roles should be duplicated. So on to slide 8. So there's the directions for the group to go along with the activity, what I just read. But again, you'd have to be creative right now, what that would look like. And this would be the part 2, taking perspectives. In your group, each person will take on that viewpoint of a different person from the scenario. Just like I said, you're going to write down the person you're taking the perspective of. Then based on that perspective, complete the columns in the table. When you're done, each person will share out. So I'm taking the viewpoint of pick a person. And then based on that viewpoint, I acted the way I did because one thing I could have done differently was, or something that might have stopped me from doing something differently was. And then the reflection questions, reflecting on what your classmates shared. What had you not considered when you thought about the perspective you chose? So let's go on to, and it suggests, a time frame of about 5 minutes per activity. Explain to students that they will now take turns sharing out with their groups, what they wrote based on the viewpoint they had. You could also share out to the whole class, pick a group that wanted to share to kind of break the ice. Again, depends on the group of students. And then on to slide 9, de-escalate. So again, the vocabulary piece in there, to lessen the intensity or anger in a conflict. So one thing that might have been helpful in the situation would be for someone to have de-escalated it. So de-escalate means just what I read to you. And then prompt students to consider this idea as they complete the reflection questions on the handout. And then invite students to share out their answers to the reflection questions and capture their responses to question 2 on slide 10. And this could be done on, the active board or wherever, chart paper. It doesn't necessarily have to be on a PowerPoint. Invite students to share out their answers, capture the responses, respond with a positive comment, ignore the post, talk offline with the person involved to try to de-escalate the situation, and then refer to the teacher version for additional ideas. So again, with this lesson comes some accompanying pieces, and I will drag up real quick. So this would be the teacher version, and gives, again, some hints, which is great, because a lot of times our folks, are like, I need on the fly some great examples. So here are more examples. One thing I could have done differently was I could have supported Jen without insulting Felicia. I'm just briefly picking something that might have stopped me from doing something differently was I was really mad at Jaden and I wanted to get back at him. You know, Felicia, I was really disappointed that I didn't get the role, and I appreciated that Jaden stuck up for me. I wanted Jaden to know that he wasn't the only one who thought it was unfair, Allie. So it just, again, that talking piece, if you have a quiet class, and then based on what was shared in your group, could have been de-escalated. If Jaden had thought about how his actions might affect Felicia, he could have posted differently in a way that didn't make her feel insulted. And if Felicia hadn't gotten mad, she could have responded differently to Jaden's post instead of posting an embarrassing picture of him. And if Allie had thought about how her post might make things worse for both Felicia and Jaden, she would have or could have stayed out of it or posted something that didn't make Felicia feel insulted. Again, we all know that things blow out of hand rather quickly with our students. So just those, it's almost that stop and think kind of thing. Go back to lesson slides, and then walks you through, takes on a follow-up. Oh, did I completely lose my lesson? I did. So, and then on to this part would be, hold please. Okay. So I just took you through this part of the lesson, and then act it out is that last part, which would be starting on slide 11. Again, you know, it's posing that problem of having students grouped, and then having them act out this scenario and have students act out how they'd respond to their scenario. If time allows, have them do a second round with new roles. And this is one. An online newspaper wrote a story about the success of the local middle school and used photos of students. A student who wasn't pictured posted the article on social media with a negative comment. Other students followed up with similar negative comments. So going on directions, each person assumes a role again, just like the activity previously. What you could say, take a moment to think about your role, what that person might be thinking and feeling based on the scenario. Decide on what you could say next to be true to your feelings, but also to de-escalate the situation, and do a whip around where each person shares what they could say. I like that term, that's cute, whip around. And then we are kind and courageous, tying it up. There are some home pieces as well. And family activities, I was thinking the best for these would just be to add them on the family resource page, on the share page. As, I mean, things don't always tend to make it home as far as share is concerned. And we don't necessarily collect homework when we're talking and teaching share. So that could be up for discussion too. But I was just thinking, no matter what, if the lesson's adopted or not, it's a great lesson, but to include the family tips on the share resource page for families. So, okay, that was my kind of confusing lesson post today. Is it okay if I unshare? What are you thinking?
Yeah, go ahead and unshare, and we'll ask to see anything that we want to take another look at.
Because I was so good at that today.
You were juggling a lot, and my first question. So first of all, I really love the material, and I think it's very pertinent to sixth graders and much younger than that, even at this age. And also, it's part of the personal safety standards in the new Nevada. I forget, health standards. Yeah, 2020 health standards that we should all have a copy of. So, and that's, they begin discussion, those standards begin addressing social media in third grade. But all the way through, everybody just needs to be learning more about it, as we see with our adult friends all the time.
Right.
So I was thankful for that. Can you tell us, can you help me? I'm trying to see how this would look as it would be sent to teachers. Because
instead of our normal format.
Well, right now, like what we just looked at was like a website and a slideshow and a Word document. And, you know, it was just many, many things. And so can you help me understand what a final product would look like?
Ashley, I'm hoping that, and thank you, Manny, for steering me in the right direction I don't know why I really just had such a mental block with this lesson. And I guess it's because I read, you know, they don't want you picking and pulling from the lesson. They want you to use the lesson in its entirety. Ashley, I don't see why I would not be able to embed it in the lesson format as we have in the past. You know, step 1, slide 1. It was just my mental block on this lesson. I mean, I will own that completely. But
it's all right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, because I printed out the lesson, you know, I can save it as a PDF, even though it wasn't saving for whatever reason. And it could be because I'm on my Mac at home and not on my PC at work. Who knows, right? So that is something that when I go into the office, I can test, but I think I just need to rebuild it in its entirety so it would flow. That's what you're asking, right, Ashley? So we're not jumping back and forth. Of course, I mean, the beauty is that all the kids see is the PowerPoint. You know, it's just for the ease of our teachers, so they have it in one piece to know from here you go here, you know, instead of I can't walk them through the PowerPoint and the lesson in that roller coaster ride again. So
okay. So and then closely related to that is the access to the video. Would teachers need to, which first of all, I think this would be great for in-classroom use and also for our distance learners. It's just seamless, and that's wonderful. But would teachers always need to go to the Common Sense website to access this video, or is there another way that it would be accessible?
Oh, well, so when I did the video and shared the link with you all, did it take you to the Common Sense and the video?
Yes.
Were you able to open it easily there?
I could open the video.
Yeah. So it would be like the opening page that I started with, we would just have the link because it will take you to the video, you know, and I could have here's the video. I don't believe it's on YouTube, if that's what you're asking.
I'm asking because I wonder if that lesson were pulled from the website or the website were down or something. I'm wondering if the rest of the lesson,
if we can save it,
still work. If we could save it, or if the rest of the lesson can work without that video.
So basically like we have right now with all of our other lessons, correct? Except if any of our video links went down, we'd be in the same boat, right?
Yes.
We would just, that's always something in the back of my head. Given our technology now and using links instead of a hard product, right? Like the old DVDs or a thumb drive or something else that also gets lost too. So no, those are great questions, Ashley.
Okay. Thanks for entertaining my questions. Okay, so I saw Manny first, and then I also saw Sarah Linda Kaiser. So we'll go Manny first, please. Thank you, Rochelle.
Awesome. Yeah, first off, Rochelle, this is a great lesson, and kind of like how Ashley said, I was like, this is a lesson that we could use for a lot of people, not just sixth grade. I got fourth graders and third graders that are constantly talking about TikTok and the TikTok challenges. So, I mean, this would be a good one. I did have a few things I was thinking that we could potentially add to the teacher notes at least. On slide 7, I think I would like to see them ask, how do you get out of digital drama? And not necessarily have an answer, but just to see what the kids say before we talk about the de-escalation and and ways to de-escalate and things like that, and then possibly revisit that question again at the very end when we get to that last slide, slide
Okay.
13 of we are kind and courteous. Or
Uh-huh.
courageous. I think that would just be a really good kind of way to gauge what the kids have kind of learned from it, actually.
Okay.
And then the second one that I was thinking of was when you're showing us the talking points
Mm-hmm.
that kind of go along with slide 8, where the teacher talking points,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps just to kind of just test the kids, they could share those talking points without the names.
Okay.
Like so and so could, or like this could have been done instead. Who would this apply to? So that this way they can kind of make those connections that way also. After they do it themselves, potentially. I mean, wherever they want to do that, it's kind of up to the teacher. But just kind of another thing to just make sure that the kids are kind of on top of it and listening to it and paying attention.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
And then that was, I like the ways to de-escalate. I'm pretty sure this would probably also make more sense if we had the lesson plan and all that stuff right here in front of us too.
Right. Yep.
But overall, though, I agree, though. I think this was really good. And I do believe that you actually can download the video as a MP4 video potentially too. So that way
Okay.
you can save it onto the share page potentially. That way
Okay.
you can always keep it. Aside from that, though, I mean, I'm trying to do my best to not change or modify or pull anything out like how you had said, but this was a really, really good lesson, I think, like really beneficial for a lot of people.
I just thought it was, I mean, I came across it, and then Kendra and I had a conversation about it, and she loves common sense as well for some of the lessons. And I just find it fitting, especially since our 6th graders are in middle school. And I think most of them all will be next year, right? Part of that too. As far as that relationship piece, that was my thinking behind it, and that they constantly, right? I mean, even as adults, we see digital drama, but just to have a lesson, a conversation about it. Oh, school district phone call.
Yes, I got mine too.
Is it a snow day tomorrow?
I know. Snow day.
We'll find out.
Anyhow, but like I said, there could also be other, like you were adding, Manny, that you'd like to see this added to the slide or a talking point. There's no reason we can't do that, so.
Yeah. I think it would just enhance the lesson a little bit. That's
Okay.
kind of why I was thinking we should add it, because it allows for more kind of interaction, hearing from the kids, even though I know like they have the scenarios. I think when you get the kids engaged and have them be able to kind of problem solve themselves,
Uh-huh.
that's like you said, even if it's potentially wrong, it still is really powerful and beneficial for the kids, because then they're actually actively engaged with it and they're thinking about it.
Right.
Yeah, I think those are valuable additions that you put in. And also I think the teachers will learn, the kids cannot, like what could you do to disengage from it? And they cannot. And many middle schoolers I talk to say, I have to let my phone die and put it upside down in a closed drawer, because
Yeah.
other than that, my brain cannot stop. So I bet it's worth planting that seed in their head that is a possibility. Sarah Linda Kaiser, thank you for waiting so patiently.
Oh, of course, I agree with everything Manny had to say, and I'm glad to wait and hear it. So this is Sarah Kaiser for the record, and I really love the interactive aspect of this lesson. I really, really like this lesson. I teach conflict at UNR currently, and there are two things that I feel like I'd love to see that are missing. I feel like we leave the kids hanging a little bit in this lesson, and so I want to throw it out at you all and see what your perspective is. The first thing is, I would love to see somewhere early on in the lesson, maybe in the discussions about digital drama and online conflict, a guided discussion about when conflict is sort of the normal thing that happens, And when conflict moves into a dangerous, hostile place where people feel threatened, they, personally feel psychologically threatened. And, when does conflict become more than just the kids being frustrated about the school play, and when is it devolved into personal attack? I mean, there's a piece of that I kind of feel like isn't there in this lesson.
Okay.
Which leads me to the second piece that we've been so great about in all of our lessons previously. And I'd love to see us pull our own slide maybe in at the end of it, if that's possible, which is again a resources slide for where do you go? Who do you talk to? If you feel like you can't get out of this conflict, or you don't know, or you feel like yourself or somebody else has been threatened somehow in this conflict.
Okay.
I feel like that's kind of missing from this lesson. So I wanted to get your perspectives on that.
Thank you for that excellent point, Manny.
Mhm.
So, Sarah, just to make sure I'm understanding, you'd like you'd like a slide or something in there to kind of have a discussion about when is conflict no longer productive, but it's now kind of harmful? Is that kind of what I'm understanding?
I'm not even sure it really needs to be a slide again, because I'm conscious of the fact that this lesson is complete. So I'm not even sure that piece needed to be a slide so much as maybe another bullet point as kids are talking about what is conflict and how does it happen kind of early on. I can't remember exactly where it was, but there was this guided discussion about conflict. And I think that's a teacher note, is to help in that discussion. Is there a point at which conflict no longer becomes digital drama and becomes bullying or becomes scary? That's it. So it's not so much a slide as it's an acknowledgement that some of this conflict is productive and it's necessary and it's part of being a teenager or a 12-year-old. But there also is this other thing, and I don't even think it needs to be a slide. I think it's a teacher note. A talking point in there. I do think, though, I would love to see us add our own slide at the end that was back to our resources of who do you talk to if you feel like you're feeling threatened. Who's the trusted adults that you can talk to about this? I'd love to see that in this lesson as well.
Okay.
So you're referring to slide 5 is I just went back to double check for it, where they say, how does drama, emotional conflict between people happen online? Can you think of any examples? Is that where you're talking about, where that could be a potential talking point?
I think that would be a perfect place for it.
I think that'd be awesome. I really like that suggestion. Although I also think that we might need to clarify for the teachers potentially, though, too, to understand how to share with the kids, like when conflict goes from like being potentially like productive to detrimental, though, because I mean, I don't know if adults themselves sometimes know when conflict goes from one side to the other,
Well, I think that might be a good reminder for the teachers to say, hey, it's okay to talk to your parents, your friends, your trusted adult if you're questioning this. You're right. Adults don't know. None of us, or a lot of us, don't know the line between when it suddenly becomes a face threat or when it suddenly becomes destructive to a relationship. So I'm not expecting that the teachers are going to teach kids that necessarily. I think it's more of an acknowledgement of that if you're wondering, talk and encouraging the kids to talk a little bit about that, but then bring it back in either there or somewhere else to, there are people that you can talk to about this. That's kind of where I was going with that.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Sarah. Other thoughts and comments, questions? Kelly.
Kelly Roper, for the record, I just really liked it a lot. I thought it was a great lesson, and I liked the video, and I liked the different types of people that were speaking. I noticed immediately when I was watching it, there was a place that you could turn on captions for the video for your Spanish speaking population. And so I thought that was really great. Whether, like for the resource for at home, like if it were parents that were needing to have it captioned. And I thought that was a cool something that we haven't seen in our videos.
You're right.
That's a really great point, Kelly. Thank you for bringing that up. Other thoughts or comments, questions? It's looking good. I am feeling like I would maybe not be ready to take action on this. I would like to see it in the similar format. I don't know why, but my brain is like, I need to see it in the similar format as everything else. And maybe just as a way to confirm the things that we'd like to see added are added in a way that we're actually talking about today.
So
But
Ashley, I
maybe,
appreciate that. So thank you, because it makes it more comfortable for me too, to
Okay.
bring it back. So you're saying bring it back. Okay.
that's
Yes.
what I'm thinking, or that's how I'm sitting at with it right now. Yes, Andrea?
Hi, Andrea Thompson for the record. I would agree. I think, we've been pretty consistent. That way public can take a look at it. Because I was concerned, I had trouble I was able to watch the video, but just being able to kind of look at everything, with our transparency and just making sure that people can really see, especially if you're adding teacher comments. I think it's a good idea to make sure, adding things to what we would just potentially add in would be helpful. But I really do love, by the way, that we're adding this as something that is part of SHARE, something that's important for their physical, emotional, and sexual health. I think it's fantastic. So as I think, what I'm thinking is, I know in the past we've potentially done some motions to, review at a future date with only these corrections, to then send off or something like that. But I do agree that, for consistency, it would be nice to see it in the same way. That way we've got transparency with parents as well.
Thank you for that. I'm wondering if we would need a specific date, or we would need to say maybe by, I
Our
don't know.
next meeting.
You're
Right.
what's on your plate better than anybody else, Rochelle.
Right. Well, we're already set for our meeting then, because it would, if I'm to understand correctly, it would come back forward to the committee as a whole.
Yeah.
So, and just another presentation, right? Part 2.
Well, and in the past we've done, like, just to review what you've added as we've discussed at this meeting specifically. That way we can, it's nothing new. We're not re-looking at the same material that we've seen today, but rather just looking at it, potentially the points that Manny brought up, and then in the teacher comments, and then that way we're viewing it as the current lesson,
Okay.
but we're not necessarily like rehashing things we've already discussed today.
Right. And a formatting, correct? So formatting would be there. Okay.
Louise, do we have any public comment on this item?
No public comment.
Thank
Right.
you.
Can I make a suggestion for you, Rochelle, on this?
Sure.
So if you wanted to be able to like get the teacher notes and everything else into it, what you could easily do is after you download it as a PowerPoint, they typically will give you the option to click to add notes, and you could add like the word stuff, I guess, at the bottom for the teacher notes. That way it's all right there, like it's all kind of in that one nice little area for everybody to be able to see. We just maybe make a note if like a parent wants to use it at home, that like teacher notes are embedded in the slides. You got to be able to use 2 screens to see them though, or something.
Right.
Kelly?
So Kelly Roper for the record. And one of the things, I don't know if in lining this, what Rochelle needed to send us in that email, which didn't, I had something in my outbox last week that I found it a couple, like at the end of the day too. But we needed a login in order to be able to view the stuff. And so I don't know if there's a way around that, or if there's a generic login and some, I'm curious how we're going to make it open to the public if that's necessary, because I don't think you want to put on share, your email, Rochelle. Granted, the password was perfectly generic, that nobody would mind it being out there, but how would we have that login and password so that people could see it? How would we do that?
Okay.
Just to jump in real quick, one, remember we need to stay on topic just about reviewing the lesson, but two, Rochelle, I think that might be something you need to look at for logistics, because we don't want to violate any copyright issues that are involved
Right.
in publicly posting a lesson that you're copying or purchasing, or I'm not sure how you get it, but if it's password protected, we could have copyright issues. So you might just want to say that it's summarized in PowerPoint presentation slides.
Okay.
Kelly Roper, for the record, I don't think it was password protected so much as it was a free lesson, but they wanted you to log on to their website. But I see what you're saying, Sarah, because then it would be provided for everyone under one login. So I get that.
There's some work to look at it. Lydia?
I think if you select the print save as PDF option, then you should be able to just provide the PDF as the lesson. I've never, ever once voted on the format of any of these lessons. If it's a big deal to people, then fine, I'm happy to look at it again and go with the group. But I personally, I've only looked at the content. I have not ever voted one way or another about how something is formatted or sent to the teachers. I don't know. So
That makes sense, and I appreciate
not
that
my
point.
hill to die on. Also, but you can take it right off of there and not have to go through passwords and such.
That's a great point. So it sounds like we're probably looking for a motion to return to this topic again next meeting. Kelly.
Kelly Roper would like to make a motion that we return to this lesson next month, where we can see the teacher notes talked about by Sarah, Linda, and Manny added, and perhaps see the PowerPoint in a format that is accessible to the public, so that they can also see it like we see it.
Excellent. Thank you, Kelly. And
Can I clarify your motion? Are you just looking to have it come back with the potential teacher note revisions that were discussed? Can we be more clear on what those would be specifically in your motion?
Yes,
and how
sorry.
it would be that next in the next meeting, so we know how to format that motion and how to agendize it for the next meeting?
Okay, so the teacher notes that I would like included was Sarah Linda's talk about when conflict becomes more psychological and bullying. And Manny's on slide 5. I didn't remember. 5 and 7?
Sarah's is slide 5, mine are slide 7 and 8.
Okay, so Sarah's is slide 5 and Manny's being on slide 7 and 8.
And
And
Manny,
maybe if that's not clear enough, can you guys clarify for me, because I just remembered the conflict one.
Kelly, can you add the list of resources of people,
Yes.
of resources for students?
And at the end, a slide with the list of resources. Yes.
and Manny, if I heard you correctly when you were talking about how do you get out of digital drama, that question, right, on slide 7?
Yes.
And you wanted to revisit it again at the end of the lesson, that same question?
Yes.
Okay.
To check for understanding, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that okay, Sarah?
Yeah, as long as Rochelle, you are noting those topics, if you feel good about that's what's being revisited. And just to clarify too, Kelly, that you mean that for the next meeting, all the committee is going to look at is those new teacher notes and not actually go through the whole lesson again.
Yes, she is just going to show us the teacher notes that were added, and she's going to show us how it's streamlined so that it can be like, so we see it more streamlined than we did tonight. Is that right, Rochelle?
Yes.
Okay. but we're only viewing it. We're not nitpicking it.
Ashley Wade, for the record, I second Kelly's motion. All right. So, Luis, do we have any public comment since?
No public comment.
Thank you, sir. Manny, you have something to say about it before we vote?
Yeah, could we add the a friendly amendment to add the resource page at the end? I don't know if that was included in the motion.
It was included.
Okay. All right, then never mind. I'm good.
All righty. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so on motion proposed by Kelly, seconded by myself, Ashley Wade, passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone, so much. I'm looking forward to seeing that in March. Okay, so our next meeting will be Monday, March 8th, 2021, with further details, probably soon, given COVID, to be forthcoming. And at 6:22, we are adjourned.
Wait. We need to do general public comment.
Oh, general public comment. Thank you. Kelly knew. She's like, okay, we're not adjourned. Redo.
No general public comment.
I don't think that's, oh, it is on there when it is. Okay, thank you. Okay, so now at 6:23, we are adjourned. Thank you.